Hello, everybody. Welcome to the April edition of the Wellness Policy. My name is Wei Ting, and I'm joined here once again by my co-hosts Neil Flanagan and Jordan Goodman. How you guys doing?
Yes, Neil, you go first,
Oh,
please.
okay, I'm doing very well. I can't believe it's a month since we last did this. As there's been plenty has happened in the meantime, or not happened in my case, but I am well.
Tell us more.
I don't want to rehearse the whole thing all over again. Jordan Gordman.
We missed you, and we missed you in Lilydelphia, Neil.
Thank you. Yeah, but I will publicly thank you. I've done this privately for making sure my presence was felt, at least, Jordan, with your handheld version of me, which I have dozens of photographs of, with all of the luminaries of post-wrestling and post-wrestling adjacent people, even the great Brian Thurston.
He was very resistant to this.
I can imagine.
Yeah, he was like, if it involves Neil, a risk to my credibility, were his words.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
We have a lot of making up to do for the absence of Neil Flanagan down in Philadelphia, but I did have a great time hanging out with Jordan and your fiance Lily. So let's see if we can replicate that. Okay, virtually here on the Wellness Policy, we have a lot to discuss. It's a very busy show. What is the topic of the month, Jordan?
It's personality, and this is all you, Daddy. I'm curious, what is it about this topic in general that was interesting to you, and did it stem? Like, we're gonna kind of take some bootleg kind of personality test inspired by the Myers-Briggs. So for a lot of people, you may be familiar in like profiles of some sorts, in online bios of some sort. When I used to use dating apps, people would lead with this 4 consecutive letters that essentially explain or demonstrate some sense of, here's my personality, or a personality style or profile. Was this your entry level into the topic? I'm curious, just noticing these combinations of 4 letters.
My introduction to it was actually through Korean reality TV dating shows.
That was my second guess. So please enlighten us.
So, I mean, it is a bit of a passion of me and my wife. I watch a lot of professional wrestling, but in my non-wrestling viewing, much of it might consist of Korean reality TV dating. And I think there were like these opening scenes where, like, you know, all these people would get into a house, and their introductions would consist of their I guess their names, or at least what names they were able to reveal. And immediately it would jump to, what's your MBTI? And it was almost like a foreign language. I'm like, what does that mean? And you know, my wife knew like what it meant. And it turned out it was some sort of personality type indicator that, you know, had different categories attached to it. And maybe I'll even bring up a thing right here. But evidently very popular, at least among youth in Korea. And the more I learned about it, the more fascinated I felt. So we decided to take the test ourselves at the time. And I don't remember the results of it anymore. So I'll kind of be looking forward to refreshing. But the fact that there's any sort of, like, I don't know, universal method out there to determine what sort of person you are, whether or not effective or not, I felt it was very fascinating.
Okay, so it was the Myers-Briggs. It's just you found it through a reality show, which is interesting to me, because sure, at this point, this is pop psychology. So, like, let's just say that up front. I know the test that we'll be taking is inspired by the Myers-Briggs, which is much more comprehensive and researched over a long period of time. But let's be also clear. These, like, the personality types, if we're watching on YouTube and saw it up there, like, these are social constructs that other human beings have created in order to help us categorize ways in which people tend to present in the world. So let's be clear, like, this is not a diagnosis. Like taking a test like this is certainly not. It could lead to a mental health professional offering some sort of diagnosis if that's what you're interested in. But these are just, let's say, tools that we can use for the sake of this conversation. This is just for entertainment purposes. But sometimes you may visit a mental health professional, or one may be invited into, like, let's say, a company of yours that's a bit more popular with these personality tests, where answering these questions can help act as an indicator toward this. This is kind of how someone tends to be, let's say, much or most of the time. But again, I just want to preface all that at the jump. Also, I'll say, as the resident mental health professional of the three of us, at least, personality theory, personality assessment, certainly not my strong suit. Took a course in grad school well over a decade ago doing this stuff. In fact, took the full Myers-Briggs, and I think another one called the MMPI. I took it myself as part of the course. When I did maybe my first internship, 2008 or 9, I did do some clinical assessment, and I believe, from memory, in addition to a more structured clinical interview, which is what I still use today to reach my diagnoses with the clients that I work with. But in addition to that, an intelligence test, I think I did administer a personality test. And essentially, I would use all of that data collected to then create what we call a case formulation to help make sense of, this is the client that we're trying to serve, and in these ways for these specific reasons. So just want to put that all up front. But
Yeah.
for our purposes, we're here to have fun. And the concept of personality is interesting to me. It certainly is interesting
Why?
to me. Because obviously I'm interested in just like human psychology, human behavior. But for the purposes of what we're doing here, self-awareness. So if other human beings have decided, here is our working theory, that if you answer this set of questions in these particular ways, we are going to use this terminology, by the way, which vacillates. So this terminology is not all or nothing. We will be given percentages. And with this test in particular, I think there's 5 different categories. And so amongst the 2 polls, we'll be given a percentage of, maybe you lean 75% this way and then 25% the other way. So for the purposes of self-awareness, I think that's interesting. I think the most common terms that we're familiar with are extrovert and introvert. Essentially, like, and I'm being very simplistic, but extroverts get energy, gain energy being in social settings or around people. Whereas introverts, maybe being in social settings, it's more draining of their energy. Again, there are, from my perspective, no hard set definitions of any of these terms. Again, these are theoretical social constructs. That's all. Again, can be super helpful and interesting. But okay, for me to have a sense of, all right, I'm more logic based versus more emotion or feeling based. And let's say one skews like 90%, which would be pretty marked. That's interesting to me. Okay, like, let's chat about that. But for me, that's the point. Okay, here is some information for me to then consider, instead of, oh, this is just who I am, and okay. So I don't know. I like talking about this stuff. For those reasons, it's interesting. Neil, have you ever done anything quite like this before?
Not until this week, and that was kind of researching a couple of different tests just to make sure that we got one that was user-friendly for our audience to do it along with us. Quick, you know. Interestingly enough, I got the same result on 2 completely different styles of tests, so perhaps at least replicability is there. I don't know about the hard science, Jordan. That's your area. I did find it interesting, though, just on a slight tangent, to note that according to recent statistics, it doesn't say exactly what those recent statistics are. Marketplace.org says that 1 in every 5 Fortune 1000 companies use the Myers-Briggs system or some variation of it in their hiring processes.
Yeah.
And 89% of Fortune 100 companies use it either in hiring or in the workplace for team building exercises, leadership coaching, executive talent management, and things like that. So clearly, in the business world, they put some stock into this, you know, for something that's been around a long time.
And do you have any thoughts on that, Jordan? Like, is that something that you think is worthwhile? Do you think that's something we can potentially put too much, weight on?
With most things, it depends. It depends what is our relationship to it. So if it serves as the foundation for continued exploration, great. But if you're just going to pin someone as this specific thing and then not address that, that might not be fair to that potential employee.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention, I mean, you could probably lie on these types of tests.
Of course you can. I mean, these are all self-reported tests.
Right.
So when I would administer a personality test, all that really means is I'm giving someone either the piece of paper to fill out, or probably if I was doing it today, I'd be sending them some link to do it online. Mm-hmm. But even if I'm doing a clinical interview with someone, who's to say they're telling the truth? So obviously, I guess I never really thought of it in this way. I'm sure when there's a job or a promotion or job placement within an organization on the line, people probably do lie, depending on what they think the bosses want or what may get them the position or the type of salary that they're desiring.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I were, and I wouldn't, but if I were applying for a job that was very customer facing, I would want to answer the questions that push me more to the extrovert side,
Sure.
For example.
Sure. Now, when we're doing this clinically, people may lie as well. Sometimes they'll lie to appear not as, let's say, mentally fit or well. There could be reasons for that. Or people won't be as truthful because embarrassment, shame, lack of self-awareness, where they don't want to be thought of as unwell as perhaps they actually are, or deficient in some certain ways based on the what the measures are for that given test. Now, if it's a clinical scenario, I would always say, tell the truth, because it really has nothing to do with me. If I'm the one working with you, it's all in the service of, let's be more honest with yourself. And if there's anything you're not liking about that, great, let's start there.
Which we will. I mean, I know your answers today will be 100% truthful. Okay. This is going to be our attempt at trying to figure out at least what our personality types might be according to this version of personality test inspired by the Myers-Briggs. We are going to 16personalities.com. So if you're listening to this, whether or not live or after the fact, we encourage you guys to perhaps follow along and then maybe follow and share your results to see if they're similar or if they're different, how your personality types might interact with ours or loved ones even. Now, Jordan has given plenty of preface about just sort of the subjectivity of the tests themselves. This, again, is not clinically proven in any way. This is not even the Myers-Briggs. It is inspired by the Myers-Briggs. Not only that, I've come to realize this is a kind of a shittier version of others such available tests that are out there inspired by the Myers-Briggs. Nonetheless, it is the first result on Google. It is the most user-friendly one to use for a podcast such as ours. That's not going to take us 2 hours to do. So 16personalities.com. This is mainly for fun, but maybe there's a shred of truth there that,
sure.
Or at least it can lead to conversation that might lead to a bit more truth. So let's go right now. 16personalities.com. We hit on take the test, And so, for people that are listening, it seems like it's a series of questions, and we have to answer on a range. It looks like it's a 7 sort of scale range about whether or not we agree or disagree. And obviously, this is my test that's up on screen right now, but Jordan and Neil, you guys are going to be taking it at the same time. So maybe what we should do is we'll just kind of go in like a circle with our answers in particular for each one. I guess I can start. The first question, this is going to be a really sad one. You regularly make new friends. At my age, that is definitely a disagree. And maybe I'll just go, rather than a 7, which is a full on disagree. Maybe I'll go 6, just because I still do podcasts and I consider you 2 new friends. So there's that.
So okay, so we're not going to take this much time with every single question, but herein lies just the subjective nature of a measure like this. Okay, what does friend mean? And we've had a friendship episode, and that was part of the discussion. So for some of us, what some may consider an acquaintance, others might say, well, but yeah, that's a new friend. And again, but for some people, the definition of friendship might be someone that you speak to with some sense of specific regularity, or there's some sense of emotional connection or intimacy that you would deem friend worthy. So again, just to say, this is all purely subjective. I would put agree, and a hard agree, and it's not like I'm bursting with all these recent friends over the past 6 months, meaning that they're available to hang out with today. But yeah, as I go through life, I'm very socially open, and I will lean more into connecting with people and befriending people. But I just want to put that out there as purely subjective from many perspectives.
So Jordan makes a lot of friends. He's a hard agree. What about you, Neil Flanagan?
I went with I suppose it's number 3, the first green bubble. If we were grading it from hard agree to disagree, it's just in the agree area. And it's, again, goes to what Jordan was saying. This is kind of time specific almost. I'm thinking of since around 2020, the number of new friends I've made through this show, through post wrestling, through my internet, based friends who I've then gone on occasion to meet in real life when I can get on the plane. So that's why I didn't go hard agree, because like you were at my age, I'm not sort of meeting a lot of new people all the time, but I am fascinated by people. I gravitate towards certain people, and I certainly think that I've made quite a few new friends in the last little while, and that's why I answered the way I did.
Okay, let's do the next one here. We have a question that asks: complex and novel ideas excite you more than simple and straightforward ones? Why don't you guys go first? Because I realize the moment I click it, it grays out. So just to leave the question up, Jordan, why don't you go first? Do you agree or disagree that complex and novel ideas excite you more than simple and straightforward ones?
So I'm leaning towards agree, but certainly not all the way to the left, just because some of the most enduring wisdom is the most simple and straightforward. So I'm gonna go in the green, but let's say more toward the center.
Okay. How about you, Neil?
I went further into the green, but again, not quite all the way to fully agree. The sort of second option from that. And it was more of a gut reaction. I didn't give this one a great deal of thought. I kind of, I suppose, in the moment related it to work, where a lot of simplistic solutions I find boring and repetitive, and I'm always sort of open to just new ideas. So I do get more, I guess, excited by them. But this already, we're getting into the waters of the subjectivity of this. I think
what the hell is complex
itself,
versus
exactly
what's simple to you, But okay, well, and again,
if I can wait, all this to say, this is just quick and dirty in a sense, where let's sketch out some terminology about where our personality may lean in certain ways. And to my earlier point, okay, now that we have that data at the end, now let's make sense of it, whether it's within a business context or a clinical context, or for what we're doing, just a social entertainment context.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go maybe more number 2 as well for me, just cause. You usually feel more persuaded by what resonates emotionally with you than by factual arguments.
I'm gonna go like not quite center, but a tad to the agree from center.
Jordan, Neil.
I went the other way, one click from neutral to disagree.
Okay. I'm gonna be perfectly neutral for this one. I think I'm equally both, depending on the scenario. Your living and working spaces are clean and organized. Agree or disagree, Jordan Goodwin?
Mostly agree, but not all the way.
Okay. How about you, Neil?
I'm afraid I had to go disagree, and I had to go 2 clicks into disagree, almost at full. They're
Is that
not
right? That surprises
Yeah.
me. Just judging by your background here, lovely, sort of nice frame, good
This
lighting.
this is not really a typical living or working space that I'm sitting in. My desk is a complete mess of notebooks and pens that have run out of ink, and I know where things are, but it is not particularly systematic.
I'm already learning so much about you. I'm more with Jordan. I like my desk very clean, and it's almost sad. Well, but I'm second to the agree, so I'm a number 2 there.
Wait, were your parents like that? Because I
God,
certainly
no.
noticed that from my parents.
I'm this way because my parents are the complete opposite. They're hard disagrees. Yeah, my parents' place is a mess, and I think it's exactly because of that. Like, I always kind of kept my own area pretty decently clean, and for me, it was almost just like my own little refuge from the horror of the condition of the rest of the place. So maybe that's
Interesting.
why. Our next one here. You usually stay calm even under a lot of pressure, Jordan.
I'd like to say agree. And I think for the most part I do, but I'd go just slightly agree.
Well, okay. So here's I guess a question I have is what exactly is stopping you from being full agree, and what do you think of somebody who says, "Yeah, I'm all the way agree" for this type of question? Like, what kind of person would they be? It's like it seems like you're being a realistic human being by saying you're not like this for every scenario. So you're
Sure.
going maybe one notch below it, but compared to the general population, are probably closer to just all the way.
Here's why. Because externally I can appear calm, but internally sometimes I can be like a hurricane of anxiety and tension.
Yeah. So I would also argue, like, how many people in existence are truly always calm?
That's probably none, or
Right.
just about. Yeah.
So does that qualify you enough to be an all the way calm person, or do you feel more comfortable being a number 2?
No, I even have it at 3 on that scale of agree. Yeah, that's where I am.
All right. How about you, Neil?
I was at like 2 on that scale, not all the way agree, one click in from all the way agree, which again, just answering in the moment, I thought, I think of work, I think of pressures of deadlines and things like that. And that's actually when I get very productive sometimes, because
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a, for example, with exams, I was a last minute sort of crammer rather than an all year studier. And the same often goes for work. I will head up toward the deadline. But of course, that's not all of life. That's only one facet of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was asking you kind of all those questions, Jordan, because I'm very much the same. I have the same thought process, Like, I like to think of myself as calm most of the time, but to be calm all the time, I feel like there'd be something wrong with you.
Well, it's not saying necessarily that you're calm all the time, but specifically under pressure. But then therein lies the subjectivity is what doesn't like we're live on YouTube right now. Like I'll go speak in front of hundreds of people in person or perform in front of many people. So for some, that would terrify them. There is a lot of pressure given that eyes are on me. I have big responsibility if I'm facilitating a room full of people. Um, I'm cool with that. I'll feel the tension, but I remain mostly calm. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just more thinking about. I've had a rough couple years, and I'm a lot less, let's say, psychologically resilient than I'm used to. So I think that's why I'm leaning more toward the center than a full-on agree.
Okay, well, I'm going to say number 2 for myself. You find the idea of networking or promoting yourself to strangers very daunting.
Disagree. Like a pretty hard disagree.
Interesting. Okay, and how about you, Neil?
I'm nearly at the other end of the scale. Not all the way agree, but one step in. Networking events and such that I have to do for work and so on, I absolutely despise them. The ice-breaking exercises, all of those sorts of things, I can't stand. And I never have been able to. And that might seem strange for someone who puts their hand up to do podcasting now and again. But that kind of window between me and the rest of the world, that's the camera, I find very reassuring. It's a bit like driving, you can get very mad at people, maybe shout things at them that you would definitely not do in the street. So yeah, it's not so much deep introversion as promoting myself. The way this question is worded is networking and promoting yourself to strangers, and that's not been an experience that I really do in my line of work or really in life. I like to just sort of stumble across friends in the social field. And my workplace has very little to do with sales or customers. So it's, again, networking and promotion. It's just not something I really gravitate to.
My gut feeling for this question is more to the strongly agree portion as well. But then I realized like I actually do quite a bit of like promotion, at least for my job on a weekly basis to complete strangers. So maybe that just kind of nudges me back over. Now I'm also speaking to an audience that hopefully already has a knowledge of me. Going to like a party and having to walk up to somebody to, I don't know, talk about my podcast, that feels completely ridiculous and completely daunting.
What if you went to a professional conference though?
Yeah, but even that, like, it would be hardly something I'd jump at, like wanting to do, nor would I feel completely comfortable in. So that's all to say. I'm probably more of a 2.5 or 3. I'm just gonna say 2 for this one. Let's go to our next page here. God, maybe we should speed this up because we're only 10% through.
10%.
You prioritize and plan tasks efficiently, often completing them well before the deadline. Jordan.
I think right in the middle.
Neil?
That's a disagree for me, but not all the way. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
6. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm definitely more of a 6 myself. So similar to Neil. People's stories and emotions speak louder to you than numbers or data. Jordan?
Like a 2, pretty strong agree.
Okay. Neil?
Number 3, just into the agree column.
I'm neutral on this one, right in the middle here. You like to use organizing tools like schedules and lists.
Yeah, hard agree. Like a 1.
Neil?
I'm slightly into disagree, the number 5.
I'm more on the agree side. So I'm gonna, because otherwise I don't think I can really function if I don't have a visual reminder of what I'm supposed to do. So I'm on 2 there. Even a small mistake can cause you to doubt your overall abilities and knowledge.
Oh, hard disagree on the other end.
Neil?
6, just one away from the full disagree.
For me, this question I think depends on like what it is that I may be doing. of course, we make plenty of mistakes whenever we're trying to talk about, recap a show, and we often miss a lot of things. Is that enough to kind of doubt my abilities and my knowledge of, I don't know, talking about WWE Raw? Maybe not. Although, like, I think because we do hold ourselves to high standard, maybe it can somewhat affect it. So I'm gonna say more on number 5 here.
Just to say very briefly, just say we were to do this in a therapy setting or even like an organizational setting. We see like how every one of these questions can stimulate something perhaps very meaningful to explore further of oneself.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. You feel comfortable just walking up to someone you find interesting and striking up a conversation.
Hard agree.
Neil?
Almost the opposite. Not quite hard disagree, but number 6.
Number 6. All right.
I don't. It's not that I would never do it. I have done it. It's just that I don't feel comfortable doing it. I might get comfortable quite quickly, but that initial contact definitely uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, I'm probably closer to disagree myself, but like sometimes I might just do it just to kind of amuse myself, or like if I'm trapped in a situation.
Right. So being comfortable doesn't mean I lack the tension, but the tension I can find super interesting.
Right. I'm gonna go 5 there. Let's go. Okay, here. You are not too interested in discussions about various interpretations of creative works.
Hard disagree.
Same.
I'm the same too. Hard disagree there. Let's go up next to you prioritize your facts over people's feelings when determining a course of action.
Prioritize facts. Like in the middle.
So I suppose like interpretation would be something like okay, this, like, when you're trying to decide, for instance, like when you're trying to lead a team at work, are you focused more on the objective or focused on how maybe a leadership decision might make a employee feel?
I think what I'm noticing as a trend with these questions is I lean more into feelings, but slightly more into feelings.
Right.
So I guess I would do a slight disagree.
Facts over people's feelings. Okay, how about you, Neil?
I went with the same as Jordan. Jordan's sort of revised answer there. Yeah, the one click into disagree from neutral.
I think I'm definitely more like facts when, for instance, it's something like when it comes to business. But I mean, with a touch of people's feelings as well. Not completely cold and heartless. I'm gonna go closer to agree there from neutral. You often allow the day to unfold without any schedule at all.
Slight disagree.
How about you, Neil?
I went full agree. Now, again, context is that if it's allowable, there are some days when I've got meetings I got to attend and at a particular time. But if I can go without a schedule at all, I very often will.
Mm-hmm. So. Interesting. I'm going to be more of a disagree here. Yeah. You rarely worry about whether you make a good impression on people you meet.
Rarely worry. I don't typically worry. So like almost all the way to disagree. Wait, no. You rarely. Okay, yeah. Mostly number 2.
Yeah.
I went in the middle with this one as one of my few middles. I just couldn't make up my mind, so I thought I'll be neutral.
I'm more on the agree side, but still care a little bit. So I'm number 3 there. You enjoy participating in team-based activities.
Oh, like podcasting. 1, agree.
As opposed, like, well, let's say sports. Do you prefer team sport over a solo one-on-one?
No, fuck no. I was more into like tennis and wrestling as a kid. Yeah, I did not like team sports, but I do like team-based activities in general.
Okay, Neil.
Number 5, just into the disagree column.
I'm pretty neutral for this one right there. You enjoy experimenting with new and untested approaches.
1, hard agree.
Number 2.
New and untested approaches. Yeah, I'm neutral there too. Like, new, it can be good and can be bad. All right.
That's the thrill.
That's. I guess you're right. You prioritize being sensitive over being completely honest.
I lean like almost all the way to disagree. Almost.
Uh huh. Gotcha. Neil.
Neutral on that
Neutral.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say so. Well, from what I know of you, yeah, it seems kind of right. If anything, I would say you are very aware of people's sensitivities. I think when you're speaking to them. You
Right,
know.
but I would try to trust their emotional strength because I don't want to have to bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm closer to. I think. Mm, I'm definitely a bit of both, so I'm probably going to say neutral myself as well. All right, you actively seek out new experiences and knowledge areas to explore.
Like two, agree.
How about you, Neil?
Same here too.
I feel like at this point I don't have much time for new experiences or knowledge, so I'm closer to a disagree. You are prone to worrying that things will take a turn for the worse.
In general, no, that's not true. So almost all the way to disagree.
Neil?
There's one where I had to be very honest with myself. I edge into agree with this one. So number 3.
I'm at a number 3 too. I do have worries about just just kind of everything. Maybe just as a way to kind of keep me on my toes, or just a form of self-preservation. I'd be lying if I said I was completely relaxed about the future. So I'm number 3 as well. You enjoy solitary hobbies or activities more than group ones.
I mean, I feel like now I said, well, I do like team-based activities, but I'm not going to say that, like, I love doing stuff of my own too. So I can't say that I love, like, or enjoy one over the other.
So then you're neutral.
I'd be neutral.
Okay, Neil.
Number 2 on this one.
Yeah. I think I'm a number 3. You cannot imagine yourself writing fictional stories for a living.
What a strange prompt.
Isn't it?
I guess it's just one to just suggest like how creative you see yourself, or at least as a potential professional, maybe.
Well, I see myself very as someone's creative. Look, I can imagine it. I wouldn't want to do it, and I think the latter is what it's asking. I cannot imagine. No, I can't imagine myself realistically doing that for a living. So I would agree.
Okay. How about you, Neil?
I went opposite end of the scale all the way. Disagree. It's kind of a somewhere in the back of my mind. I feel like there is a book.
Ah,
So
Interesting.
look at this.
Have you written fiction much?
I've written short creative writing, and used to do some classes and so on, but nothing that even self-published. I'm too self-conscious about it. But
When did you
knows?
take a class?
probably about 10 years ago at this point, Jordan. Just a night class once a week.
Would you say it's an ambition of yours to publish a piece of fiction?
Ambition's too strong a word. Perhaps just a vague notion. Maybe I should pursue it at some point. Actually make a start. But yeah, I can imagine it. So that's why I answered how I did.
Well, I mean, when we're taking this question literally, yeah, it is really hard for me to see myself suddenly becoming a writer of fiction. But there was one time in my life where, like, I had to kind of choose a path for my television course, and that was to either enter a more technical based sort of like side of TV, or to enter creative writing and writing for television. And it was actually a difficult decision for me at the time. So I'm gonna actually say I'm closer to a strongly disagree there.
Cool.
You favor efficiency in decisions, even if it means disregarding some emotional aspects.
Yeah, I'd lean like a 3 into agree.
Okay. Neil,
I was neutral on this one, right in the middle.
you favor efficiency in decisions, even if it means disregarding some emotional aspects. I'm more of a disagree here. I'm going to go number 5. You prefer to do your chores before allowing yourself to relax.
I'd say a 3 agree. I think if things are tidy or like not undone, I actually relax some more.
Neil?
Again, I'm just showing my ass here. I'm a bit more chaotic, so I'm closer to 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, one away from a full disagree.
Maybe it's good we didn't share an Airbnb.
When I feel a bit more sense of responsibility to others, I will do it. It's the single life, Jordan, that I think dictates an awful lot of these answers for me.
I'm closer to agree myself, so I'm going to go number 3 there. Let's go up next. In disagreements, you prioritize proving your point over preserving the feelings of others.
I'm kind of neutral on that one.
I was 5 into the disagree.
Interesting. So I'm trying to think, like, when I have arguments, is it more important for all of us to maintain our, I guess, level of, I don't know, our relationship, or is it more important that I'm right?
Proving the point is where I get hung up. I want people to understand my perspective, but that doesn't mean they have to agree with my perspective.
But that's proving your point. That is regardless of whether.
Okay,
whether or
then
not
I'll
we
go.
agree.
Then I'll go 3. I'll lean more into agree.
Yeah. I'm probably more of a 3 as well. You usually wait for others to introduce themselves first at social gatherings.
That's a pretty hard disagree. Someone's got to go first.
Neil?
Someone's got to go first, and it's not me, so that's a full agree.
So, like at a wedding, Neil, you're not the first on the dance floor, I presume.
Certainly not. No. And alcohol has to be consumed of some sort, and before I even take to the dance floor.
Oh wow.
For me, it depends on the room. Like, if I sense I might be the most social person of the crop, then I might be the first. But if others, please take the lead. So I'm more neutral on that one.
Neil, do you appreciate when others take the lead?
Oh, very much so. Yeah. And again, we're getting into the situational thing here. Like social gatherings, I'm thinking my immediate thought is, wedding reception or party where I don't know maybe more than half the people. Therefore necessitating being either I introduce myself or someone introduces me to them. And I will very often, and I've been this way pretty much since my teens, will stick with my gang, in which case there's no problem, or wait to be introduced. It goes back to an earlier question of if someone you find interesting, I think is how it was phrased. Would you go up to them? I think it was the answer there was I'd feel some discomfort, but I prefer to be introduced. Yeah.
Well, I think we broke news today. Didn't know Neil is gang affiliated.
Your mood can change very quickly. Agree or disagree, Jordan?
Very quickly. Yeah, if some shit goes down, I'd say a 3 though.
Neil?
I went 5 on this one, just into disagree.
I'm probably there too. 5. You're not easily swayed by emotional arguments.
I'd lean a bit into disagree. Like
So
one
meaning
past
what?
neutral.
Like if somebody has like a really passionate speech in support of whatever they're trying to argue, is that an emotional argument? Or does that mean if you're engaged in an emotional argument?
I don't know. This is why I often don't mess with these tests.
Okay, well, your first instinct is what?
Like 1 toward disagree.
How about you, Neil?
Let me just check my page. Number 3 I put for this one.
Okay, number 3. I'm more neutral for this one. You often end up doing things at the last possible moment.
Not typically. A bit into disagree.
Okay, Neil.
Full agree.
I'm definitely more of a last possible moment type of person myself, so I'm going to agree there. You enjoy debating ethical dilemmas.
Sure, hard agree. Why not?
Neil?
2 for this one, yeah.
I think I'm more on the disagree myself. I just don't. There are more important things, okay, to focus on, but maybe I'm more of a 5 there. Up next, you usually prefer to be around others rather than on your own.
Yeah, but slightly agree on that one, like a 3.
Okay. How about you, Neil?
I went 6 on this one. I lent heavily on the word usually. I mean, I'm not a hermit, but I really do like my own time, and I guess that I do like my own company, and I guess again it goes to here I am a single guy, at my age, so speaks to that.
I think for me it depends so much on like my circumstance in life, and whether or not I have a lot of alone time. I'm in a place right now where I'm probably more of a 6, so I'm gonna go disagree. You become bored or lose interest when the discussion gets highly theoretical.
Not neutral, I'd say. Not necessarily I'd lose interest.
Neil?
I went number 3 on this one.
Okay. My gut tells me for me number 5, so somewhat disagree. When facts and feelings conflict, you usually find yourself following your heart.
Yeah, most of the time. I'd say a 2.
Neil?
Same, number 2 on this.
When facts and feelings conflict, I follow my heart. I don't know. Neutral. You find it challenging to maintain a consistent work or study schedule.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd say consistent. Yeah, I'd say like a 3.
Neil?
Yeah, I went 3 as well. I know I've been talking about my desk and my schedule and stuff, but I am consistent at least, I think. So I didn't go
Well,
all the way agree.
when I see this question, I think about like exercise, and trying to commit to an exercise routine, and I find that incredibly difficult. So I'm gonna say at least a 3 myself as well. You rarely second guess the choices that you've made.
Yeah, I mostly agree with that. Like a 2.
Neil?
I went into number 5, just into disagree for this.
I would say this is probably like one of what I feel is like my biggest faults is second guessing myself and not being confident in my decisions. So I'm gonna go more of a 6.
Well, I'm curious, is there something you're willing to share that you may second guess?
Honestly, it could just be anything. I mean, it could be choosing what food to eat for lunch when I'm given just unlimited options.
Okay, so when we went to that market in Philly, we ended up sharing a corned beef sandwich.
Yes, we did. It was delicious.
And it seemed like you really empowered me to just choose whatever. Was that a version of that? Or were you just trying to be considerate? Or was it we're at a deli, so I'm just going to let the Jew do the thing for us?
No, it was not that. Now, I did limit your options to that place. Did I not choose that particular place?
I think you were leaning, I think you were curious about the other one. Maybe it was too long.
Well, the other one was already closed.
Ah,
The next was closed.
okay.
So we went to the place across.
Yeah, you're
And
right. And I wasn't completely sold. I was thinking a smoothie. So I guess
yourself.
I guess it was the deli or bust if we were
So
gonna.
I had already made a choice out of like the many options that were there, and then I just basically allowed you to choose something on the menu. Right. But prior to you getting there, I looked at every menu at that place. I walked through the entire place not every menu, but I walked through the entire place to make sure that I chose the right one.
That was a big crowded place.
Well, I was waiting for you a long time, so that was partially it as well. But a bit of a combination there of all of these factors. All right, next one. Your friends would describe you as lively and outgoing.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
Yeah, you should agree with that one. How about you, Neil?
I went number 5, just one step into disagree. Again, it's how my friends see me, people who know me extremely well. I don't think they would describe me as lively and outgoing. They might describe me as engaging, interesting, friendly, all of those things, but lively, outgoing,
What's the
probably
opposite
not.
of lively? Like corpse-like?
Again, it's one of perhaps we're picking this the entire
Deadly.
test apart as we go.
Yeah. I hard for me to think like anybody would describe me as lively and outgoing, but I mean, again, this is all relative, right? So, and it depends on the types of friends that I'm with. Some friends I'm a bit quieter around. Some friend groups, I should say. Some
You
friends I'm a
seemed
lot louder.
you seemed low-key pumped to go to those Rocky steps.
Oh, I was very much so.
But
So-
for you, which is still low-key pumped.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so I guess I'm in a 5 there. All right, let's go next. You are drawn to various forms of creative expression, such as writing, Jordan.
Yes, number one.
Okay, Neil.
Same, full agree.
I think I'm gonna agree too. Number one, you usually base your choices on objective facts rather than emotional impressions.
What I'd say
Facts.
neutral. Well, it depends on the type of choice, but I'd say I'd be a bit neutral on that.
Okay.
But that's a lie. I think I'd go one toward emotional, which means a number three. Kind of agree.
Neil.
The same answer, number 3.
Oh no, I'm sorry, number five. Like this actually matters, but number five.
I'm probably more of a number 3 these days. Facts. You like to have a to-do list for each day.
Sure, like a three.
Neil.
5, slight disagree.
So I would like to. I'd like to be in agree. I don't always get to it because you just don't. But I'm gonna say 1. You rarely feel insecure.
Yeah, a two.
Neil.
5,
I'm a 6. I often feel insecure. I might even verge on 7.
Oh
So
no.
I mean, I think anybody who answers
Wait,
1 for this.
stop. I'm sorry. I'm wearing your face on a t-shirt right now on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
Like, and I'm sure that probably makes you feel like all kinds of different ways, maybe not the best, but like my point is, like, how could Wei Ting experience insecurity? He's Wei Ting.
Dude, I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. I mean, uh, it's a loaded question. It's a loaded topic, and we don't have time for it right now. But I'm gonna say closer to 5 and 6, I should say. You avoid
I
making.
would maybe point people to the inner critic episode because I do remember some discussion on this from UA at that point. So if anyone wants to know your deep and dark secrets,
You avoid making phone calls.
I kind
Go
of
on,
do.
Jordan.
I kind of do actually.
Well,
So phone calls are one of the things where I do get a sense of like tension or intimidation, and
interesting.
I'll put it off. Yeah, and that this has been since I was like little, like elementary school, or as far as I
So
can remember.
so I would love to know when this particular statement was created because these days I would say it's a lot more unusual for somebody to make a phone call than just a simple text.
Sure. Now I think I actually use the phone maybe more than a lot of people. Certainly younger people, perhaps. Like I love phone calls, but if there's but I'm talking about more like things I don't want to have to fucking deal with, like
Gotcha.
an accountant or um, chore type stuff.
Mm.
I'd go neutral on this one.
Okay, Neil.
I went full agree. I much prefer. Again, it's Jordan's point. With work and stuff like that, emails and texts and so on, and just the efficiency of that. But I love talking to my friends on the phone when the opportunity arrives. I'm very, very rarely the person who initiates that.
I will avoid making social phone calls. Like I'm much more of I much prefer just like texting. But all you guys kind of being the exception. We have our monthly group chats off air, which are very enjoyable. But when I make calls these days, it's more about with like service people, like calling a cable company or calling like my bank because I have an issue.
That's what I avoid. I hate that.
So you prefer like waiting on and doing like all of that via chat, like
No,
desktop.
it's not even that. It's just I'll put it off.
Gotcha. That intimidates you?
Kinda.
Why?
Sometimes. It depends. That's
You don't even
because
know these people. They're just here to provide a service. They don't have a judgment.
that's the issue. I don't know them, so I don't know how it's gonna go.
Well, who cares how it's gonna go? You just
Well, you're
wanna.
speaking logically, way.
Gotcha. Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna say 6. You enjoy exploring unfamiliar ideas and viewpoints.
Yes, one. Agree.
Neil.
I went 2 with this one.
2. Interesting.
Yeah.
So now, does this mean like do you guys like to explore wild political theories and conspiracies
No.
and
No.
viewpoints?
No.
Why not? Those are unfamiliar ideas and viewpoints.
Uh, Yeah, I guess that's not that interesting to me. But I'm very much open to cultural variety. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's too broad of a term. So I guess it depends.
Yeah.
It depends. Like most of these questions, it depends.
Okay. I'm gonna be neutral myself. Next, we're getting there, everybody. You can easily connect with people you have just met.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's part
That's
of why I do what I do for a living.
definitely you, Jordan. What about you, Neil?
Yeah, I went 3, even though I've been basically a shut-in for a lot of these questions. Once I've met people, I feel like I can build a connection fairly quickly.
Yeah, I feel like that way too. Depends on the person, obviously, but
Yeah.
probably a 3 myself. If your plans are interrupted, your top priority is to get back on track as soon as possible.
Not necessarily. I'd go neutral.
Neil.
I went neutral as well. I can
Okay.
make up my mind on this one, really.
Well, your plans have been interrupted quite often in recent times.
Maybe that's why I just went, I'm going neutral into the next question, please.
Okay. Your top priority is to get back on track as soon as possible. I guess I'm somewhat agree there. You are still bothered by mistakes that you made a long time ago.
No, I'd go 6 on that.
Neil.
I went 3, slight agree. There are some things that still bother me. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I'm probably closer to a disagree myself. I'm somebody who just rarely looks to the past even, it's in there's just way too much going on in the future to kind of worry about. So I'm not really bothered by the past so much. You're not too interested in discussing theories on what the world could look like in the future.
No, that's interesting. I disagree with that. Like a 6.
You're not too interested in discussing theories on what the world could look like in the future. So
Wait,
you are
no,
interested.
I would be interested in that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're a disagree.
Yeah,
How about
disagree.
you, Neil?
I went neutral on this one.
Yeah. I don't really think about it too much myself. Your emotions control you more than you control them.
Neutral. I'm being very unemotional about this, but I think I land at neutral.
Your emotions control you more than you control them, Neil.
I went 3 on this one, and that's
Okay.
I might even be being kind to myself in saying that, but it's where
I'm more of a disagree. I'm probably more of a 5 there.
I
When
think
ma-
that's actually more accurate for all of us. For all of us.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
When making decisions, you focus more on how the affected people might feel than on what is most logical or efficient.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like a 2.
How about you, Neil?
3.
3. I'm definitely more on the agree side, I guess, when it comes to this, which might be in direct contrast to the question I think about facts. But I don't know. When you phrase the question like this, you'd be heartless to not think about how a decision might affect somebody. So I'm closer to a 3 there, I guess. All right. Your personal work style is closer to spontaneous bursts of energy than organized and consistent efforts.
I prefer it that way. So yeah, a 2.
How about you, Neil?
1, full agree.
Your personal work style is closer to spontaneous bursts of energy than organized and consistent efforts. I think I'm a 1 there. Like I wait for inspiration, or I wait for like my coffee to kick in, and I try to like just get everything done at one time. When someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it will take them to feel disappointed in you.
No, hard disagree.
Very nearly the same. I can't count. Number 6, 1 away from full disagree.
Yeah, yeah. I don't often worry about that myself either. So I'm probably 5 to 6. Let's say 6. You would love a job that requires you to work alone most of the time.
See, I struggle with this. I'm trying to build a self-sufficient thing, but like I love being in a band. Or to me, what we're doing here, this is like being in a band. It's like a group project. So I love that. But I also like
You like
building my own sandcastle. I'd say a 3.
that? Okay, Neil.
I took this very literally, just a job rather than bringing in other experiences like podcasting where like Jordan, do love working with you guys. But yeah, I would full agree because and I do have a job that requires me to work alone most of the time.
Yeah, I'll be so I do have a job right now that I guess does for the most part allow me to work by myself. Other than when I'm podcasting with somebody. But I do really miss the camaraderie of like being in a 9 to 5, a shared office space with people. So I wouldn't say I completely love it. Now, so I'm gonna go more on the disagree.
Well, let me ask you, this is kind of how we define it. So I work with people, whether as a therapist or a music teacher or facilitator or whatever. But so I'm always working with people, and I learned this pretty quickly when I started working with people. It can be very lonely. And that's why I kind of initially thought like, yeah, I do work alone most of the time. But then I realized,
Those
well,
are
but
those are
I'm
so are those colleagues or clients?
right. So it's alone if we're talking about colleagues, but I'm always with people. So I'm not literally alone in the work, but it does feel lonely sometimes, if that makes sense.
So that's up to me. That's up to your interpretation about what this question is
Yeah.
asking.
And the loneliness is more so just because I'm in service of the person that I'm with.
Right. Next question. You believe that pondering abstract philosophical questions is a waste of time?
Fuck no. Hard disagree.
Same, number 7 for me.
Yeah, I'll join you guys. Number 7 there. You feel more drawn to busy, bustling atmospheres than to quiet, intimate places?
A 3.
A 5.
I think I'm neutral. I think both could be good.
Same here. I love go to New York City or a concert, and despite what I've said about parties and things, I will really enjoy it. But again, that's why I'm somewhere in the middle here.
If a decision feels right to you, you often act on it without needing further proof.
Yeah, a 2, I'd say.
I went neutral on this one.
I'm more of a disagree. I feel like even if it feels right to me, I would want a bit more research. And again, depends on what I'm trying to choose here.
Yeah.
But I'm probably closer to on the disagree spectrum. Next, you often feel overwhelmed.
More recently, yes. Typically, no. So I'm gonna go neutral on this one.
Neil.
Again, this is sort of very time sensitive question. Do I often feel overwhelmed lately? Probably not. Have I? Very much so. So I sort of took that all into account and went with number 3 into the slight agree.
I'd like to think of myself as like somebody who can handle the stress, but like I am looking back at like even the past couple days, and there's some sickness going on in the family, so all of us have like runny noses, and just like we're always low on sleep. So, and I'm always thinking about what shows I have to keep up with. So, I guess maybe I'm more of a 3 right now than usual. You complete things methodically without skipping over any steps.
I don't think that's true. I slightly disagree.
Well, you're a skip stepper.
Yeah, I think I prefer that.
When you build IKEA furniture.
I don't.
Oh, you don't? Why?
Because then you're required to follow every step.
So who builds your IKEA furniture if you've ever had to?
Lily.
She does it all.
Yeah.
Interesting.
She's the handy one.
Okay.
But yeah, she's also like the painter.
But you don't help?
I might buy it.
How about you, Neil?
I went to number 2 with this. Is fairly strong agree. Despite some of the chaos I've talked about. Like I like to follow the instructions. Yeah. I like to read the manual.
Yeah. For me, like, I'm a huge fan of Lego, and a big part of I think the reason why many people find Lego therapeutic is you just kind of shut your brain off. You follow the steps 1, 2, 3, and you end up with exactly what's on the box, exactly as the designer intended. So I like it. I like building IKEA for a very similar reason, because of clear instructions. So, and I'm the same way, even with like, my own to-do list, or if I'm trying to like cook, which makes me a terrible cook because I'm probably way too careful with every step. So I'm definitely more of an agree there. You prefer tasks that require you to come up with creative solutions rather than follow concrete steps.
Yes, a 2.
Two. Okay. Yeah. So this is exactly maybe a follow up to the prior one.
Exactly.
So you like to be creative to try to get to A to B rather than go with what's prescribed.
So I guess part of it is I think, just baseline averse to rules. And I feel like if everyone is following the same set of rules, then the outcome would be average by definition.
Okay. Or the outcome would be,
Sufficient.
or effective,
Correct.
or perfect.
Sure. But I'm not oriented to starting there with my logic.
Interesting. Very interesting. How about you, Neil?
I went number 3 on this one. Simply just taking the question very literally. I'd probably prefer tasks that require me to, use my creative side a little bit. But it doesn't negate the previous
Yeah.
answer where I will follow this. Well, I don't mind following the steps.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question because number one, it could be interpreted in several different ways. But I get what it's trying to ask. Are you somebody who likes to kind of create your own path to whatever, or do you like to follow what other people have done? I think I'm somewhere closer to disagree for this one, so I'm going to say there. You are more likely to rely on emotional intuition than logical reasoning when making a choice.
Yeah, I'd say a 3.
Okay.
A 5, just into disagree.
I'm probably a 5 as well for that one. You struggle with deadlines. Agree or disagree?
Slightly disagree.
I went 2 with this one in the sense that I always meet them.
But you struggle to get there.
I make it a struggle to get there because, just like you said earlier on, why I'm this, I will do the burst of energy thing at the end to get to the finish line.
Yeah, yeah. So throughout my school, I definitely struggled with deadlines. Like I would hand in my essays like ridiculously late.
Oh,
And
wow. That
ridiculously.
would you regret that every time or not necessarily?
I would regret doing it because of the stress I'd be consumed, like waking up every day with this task hanging over me. But ultimately, I don't because I end up with the same piece of paper as everybody else. So, not ultimately, but yeah, it was something that kind of plagued me at one time. But in my jobs, like that's never really been so much of an issue, and maybe it just kind of told you how seriously I took, a university English class essay versus my job, for instance. So, I'm neutral ultimately for this one. You feel confident that things will work out for you.
Yes, 1. Hard agree. Whatever that means, that's where I prefer to stay.
Neil?
Yeah, quite similar. Number 2, fairly optimistic by nature, I feel.
I know that like the chances are that I think everything will be fine. But if you're asking me like my base level like illogical sort of like feeling at the time, I'm probably more of a 3. So that's
Well, look, we're all going to die.
yeah.
But
The
from
only
some
question is when.
but from some people's perspective, that means like it's going to work out.
Okay, so we are complete, everybody. Thank you. If you've decided to follow along, if we choose see our results, then we actually have a page. Now,
Wait, what gender are you selecting?
I identify as a male.
Okay, I'll do that too. All right, so do you guys have your results?
Yes, I do. Do you? Do you, Neil?
I do, yes.
Okay. So, just give me 1 second here while I kind of pull up. Now, I am what I have been prescribed as an INTJ-A, personality type architect. Architects are imaginative and strategic thinkers with a plan for everything.
Einstein looking, we could say.
Sure. Yeah. There's a lot more information that I guess we can get to. But, so maybe we'll just kind of focus on each of us first then, okay? So according to this slideshow, again, this test is courtesy of 16personalities.com. INTJs, I'm 59% introverted. There you go. Okay. Okay. And that means I'm also 56% intuitive of the mind. Intuitive individuals are very imaginative, open-minded, and curious. All right. I'm 57% thinking. Like, this is very balanced, I would say, overall.
Yeah.
So even my categorization of, the label could probably fluctuate pretty easily. I'm 56% judging, 57% assertive, all of these in the 50s. So how
Right.
about
So
you guys?
if all of these were 50s,
Like, I
meaning
could have
like you're
answered
pretty
one or
well you're pretty well balanced. I mean, I guess there is something to take from that, because my first question is like, did you learn anything from this then?
I believe this is the same result I had before. So it may be consistent, like in that sense. So the
Okay.
first time I did this, yeah, I mean, I did feel like I at least learned something. Now, there's more here because you can see how you relate to other personality types.
Oh, I've been getting emails. So we probably could have prefaced this, but so I did this initially a week ago, and since then, I've been getting emails, maybe on a daily basis, of here's how your personality might work within a dating context or a career context, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, first of all, let's see what yours are, and then we'll compare and see if what they say is true.
So I'm the protagonist. It is a Lego looking figure of a white guy with long hair and a sword.
Well, what's the letters?
ENFJ-A.
ENFJ. So according to this chart, caring, enthusiastic, idealistic, organized, diplomatic, responsible, skilled communicator who values connection with people.
Yeah,
Does that sound like Jordan, Neil?
Yes, very much so.
I bullshitted my way towards something that sounds flattering. Protagonists are inspiring optimists, readily taking action to do what they feel is right.
I'd say most of these are probably like more good sounding. Rarely would you. I don't think you'll find any that sounds bad.
Yeah, I would agree. Again, it's preference. So just going through. So I got a 77% for extrovert.
Sure.
So that's pretty definitive.
That computes. Yeah.
74% for intuitive over observant. Intuitive individuals are imaginative, open-minded, curious. They value originality and focus on hidden meanings and distant possibilities. I'm always looking for the hidden meanings, Neil.
Absolutely.
60% feeling over thinking. I think that sounded about right. And 58% judging versus prospecting. I think this is slightly different terminology than the Myers-Briggs with this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then for what they classify as identity, 76% assertive over the term turbulent. So assertive individuals are self-assured, even tempered, and resistant to stress.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess more distinct vacillations, we could say.
And Neil Flanagan, what about you?
Yes, I am an INFP /A, or sorry, -A. I'm not really sure what that last part means, and I've got a little picture of what looks like Frodo Baggins holding up the one ring. It says, so I am a mediator, apparently. Poetic, kind, and altruistic. Always eager to help a good cause. There weren't really questions to me that sort of guided me into that description, but I'll take it.
Okay. It says here, we know what we are, but know not what we may be. Would you agree with this assessment of you, Neil? And is it similar to what you did in other tests?
It is the same. It's the same result. It sort of rings true, but I feel these things are just such a mess of different character traits that to be put into these boxes feels weird, you know.
It's suggesting for a career in wellness, like mental health or physical health of some sort.
Yeah, academia, massage therapy.
And then a famous INFP, Bjork.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
Alicia Keys, Loki.
Loki.
Tom
Well,
Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston. And Tolkien, which I guess explains why we've got an elf and a hobbit at the top of the.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I mean, I don't know how much this means. You know, like when they're telling me about personality types of celebrities, because I have no idea what celebrities' real personalities are. We only see their work on screen, right?
I got Michelle Obama.
Well, okay. Cool. Proud. You should be proud.
Yeah.
So where do we go to like see how we match with others?
What do you mean? As far as like personality types that complement each
Yes,
other?
that's right. Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
I thought that was like the next page, but I probably should.
That's probably where you have to enter your credit card information.
Yes, there's. We should probably let people know that this is a business. This website, so the test we've done is free, and then at the very end you get like a unlock your complete profile for.
Gotcha.
In my territory, £9, which I'm not going to spend on this, but
But as I said, I've been getting emails and they're giving me more and more. They're trying to hook me.
All right. So it doesn't. That part doesn't matter so much, I guess. But what areas are you guys more interested in diving deeper into? Because we have strengths and weaknesses, romantic relationships, friendships, career paths, workplace habits. What area would you like to learn more about your particular type? And maybe the other two will assess whether or not it's true of what we know of you.
I mean, do you feel like you know enough about Lily to look at the romantic stuff?
I don't.
Neil might.
Okay, sure. What do you like romantically? ENFJ. Let's go here, okay? People with the ENFJ personality type can be intense when it comes to matters of the heart, and they wouldn't have it any other way. As true optimists and embodiments of passion, ENFJs believe their soulmates are out there somewhere, and they won't give up until they find them.
No. This is way too yeah, even like the intensity of it sounds too idealistic.
Don't deny it, okay? You were looking for your soulmate, you found her, and now you can rest. Although ENFJs may come across as outgoing or even a bit flirtatious, few of them are satisfied by fleeting attractions. Their standards are high and they know it. In fact, this awareness might give people with the ENFJ personality type a deeper appreciation of just how rare and precious it is to feel a real spark between another person. And in turn, just how rare and special it is when that spark grows into the steady flames of true abiding love.
Sure, I could agree with that.
All right. The long haul. This is important for you, okay, Jordan? As your
Hold on, wait. Do you believe in a soulmate?
No. Like the idea that like only one person exists for you in this planet.
Yeah, to me that seems a bit naive, maybe. No judgment, but that just doesn't resonate with me.
Seems improbable.
no.
Yeah.
Believe in, that you could have a soulmate, that you
Yeah.
happen, yeah.
I
not
believe in
the-
compatibility.
Sure, of course.
That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah,
Like
sure.
the person who's most compatible with you. Okay, the long haul. This is important for you, Jordan, as you're about to get married, okay? Few personality types are keener than ENFJs to establish a loving commitment with their chosen partner. They take dating and relationships seriously. In fact, ENFJs are most likely type who want to start a serious relationship with the person they fall in love with. Consequently, even in the earliest days of a relationship, these personalities tend to focus on long-term potential. And as the relationship matures, they want to do what it takes to bring that potential to fruition.
Yeah, therapy helped me get to that point. We're there now.
Interesting. Okay. Let's look at what your friendship, is like as an ENFJ, Jordan. Okay. Here. Connecting with others makes people with the ENFJ personality type feel alive and purposeful. It's no surprise then that they are anything but apathetic about friendship. ENFJs put sincere, dedicated effort into staying close with their friends. For these personalities, friendships are far from expendable or insignificant. Instead, they're a key component of a life well lived.
Yes, I will. If you are my friend, I will print your face on a T-shirt and wear it on the internet.
That is evidently very true. Why don't I go next here and maybe talk about what it says for an INFP's approach, or sorry, INTJ's approach to friendships. A friend to all is a friend to none. Aristotle. Sharp-witted and darkly funny, people with the INTJ personality type aren't everyone's cup of tea, and they're okay with that. For the most part, they don't really care about being considered cool, and they don't spend their time and energy on just anyone. Instead, these personalities save themselves for friends who can match their intellectual curiosity and keep pace with their fast-moving mind. INTJs might have a reputation for being difficult to get to know, but it would be a mistake to label this personality type as antisocial or unfriendly. They do enjoy the pleasure of their own company and their own mind, but they also crave meaningful connections with friends. In fact, few things are more exhilarating to INTJ personalities than the spark they feel when they're immersed in conversation with someone who really gets them. Would you guys agree with that from what you know about me?
I think so. Does that resonate with you?
It does, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of cat-like in that way.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I would sure definitely classify more on myself as a cat person. It's not always easy to befriend someone with this personality type. These individuals have little patience for social rules or expectations, and they'd rather spend time alone than with someone who bores or irritates them. I don't know if I agree with that. That sounds kind of harsh.
But you did tell the guy, I don't do that, when he tried to too sweet you one time. Isn't that right?
I mean, that's different. INTJs tend to have a clear idea of what they expect from their social lives and their friends, and they don't want to waste too much time on anyone who doesn't seem to meet these expectations. Okay, interesting. How about you, Neil? Let's look up what an INFP is like. Is there a particular category you'd like to explore?
I guess friendships is probably the most interesting to me right now.
Neil Flanagan is an INFP, and when it comes to INFP social lives, people with this personality type may find themselves caught in a web of contradictions.
Uh-oh.
INFPs crave alone time, but they're also vulnerable to loneliness. They long to be accepted and well-liked, but they hate the idea of pretending to be anybody but their authentic self. And while these personalities hesitate to draw attention to themselves, they don't want to be invisible either. The good news is that in the company of true friends, INFPs can escape the hamster wheel of these insecurities and focus on what really matters. For these personalities, friendship is a precious commodity, an opportunity for two people to lift each other up and change each other's lives for the better. INFPs truly believe in the old saying that a friend in need is a friend indeed. Few things bolster their sense of purpose like being there for someone they care about. Do you agree with all this so far?
I do actually, yeah. I mean, I know that all of this seems very complimentary. All of our descriptions seem pretty complimentary, but I would
Does
say
this one seem more like you than the others?
yes.
The web of contradictions?
Web of contradictions between, and the sort of push-pull factor between craving alone time, but also getting lonely from time to time. And the bit about true friends as opposed to sort of more superficial acquaintances. Is very much, I relate to that.
Perhaps because of their intense investment in these relationships, INFPs tend to feel most fulfilled by spending time with a small, intimate circle of friends. Quality trumps quantity with these sometimes shy personalities, as they prefer relationships with depth where they can share their wildest hopes, dreams, and fears without having to worry about being judged. Acquaintances may come and go, but their inner circle will likely include some longtime friends, lifelong friends.
Yeah, that's about right. Interesting, because we're picking apart the survey as we go. And maybe there's some confirmation bias, that you could even get with some sort of like hocus pocus stuff like astrology. But compared to the friendship description for you, this certainly sounds more like me.
Okay, so if just say we were to use a dating app, if like those were the circumstances of our lives, and we knew based on a test result like this, like what personality type may be most compatible with ours, and someone led with, or someone, let's say, led with one that wasn't compatible, would you just disregard them necessarily?
Okay, so I don't. So have you done this with Lily? I'm
No,
curious.
no. And I'm not, it seems like you are more interested in this type of stuff than I am.
Well, Pauline and I did it the first
Yeah.
time, and I don't think we are a compatible type.
But were did it, what basically what they were describing, did it seem like it fit your guys' individual personalities?
Yeah, we both had a very similar reaction to what you and Neil just gave, in that, yeah, this sounds like it could be me. Now, what it did provide is an understanding of why, who this person is, and why she may act, differently than me when it comes to certain reactions to certain events. Why we may even get into arguments, and why we might have difficulty communicating at times. And again, this is a shitty online personality test, but it does like remind me, and did serve to at least confirm that I should be remembering that we're all different, and we're all different communicators. We all receive things differently. Like, I'm sure that, compatibility exists, and if you happen to be with the right, like a person that's perfect for your type, then you might have an easier time, getting through arguments, or understanding each other, or whatever. But it doesn't mean, if you're with somebody who's not necessarily your type, that you can't use this, or use some form of this, to hopefully understand them, or at least give them the grace to be different, so that you might get through whatever issue you might be trying to tackle.
Yeah, I think that just comes down to like how social emotional skills for both people, more so than like compatibility or not. Like trying to be able to navigate some inherent differences, let's say.
But it's, again, a reminder that, like, just because, like, we might both experience one thing, and or like we might be arguing about the same thing, but just because you perceived an event differently from me doesn't necessarily mean you're wrong. It just means you're different.
No, it actually could be advantageous to have two different perspectives if the relationship is more collaborative.
Care to look up maybe workplace habits, for any of you? I'm kind of curious about that.
Sure.
Well, let's look at career paths. That might be interesting for me, just because we're all kind of already settled. So career paths for me: people with the INTJ personality type are rarely satisfied by work that is too easy. They want a career that fires up their curiosity and leverages their intellect, allowing them to expand their prowess as they tackle meaningful challenges and problems. If a job's description makes the average person think, wow, that sounds hard, then it might be a good fit for an INTJ. I mean, I guess. I don't know if it's like this is like the type of thing that completely jumps out at me.
Well, do you consider being, I'll generalize, a pro wrestling analyst slash media?
Do I consider it easy?
Yeah.
No.
Like I can't imagine you considered the business of it easy, per se.
But I don't know if I necessarily crave give me really hard work either. Like I wouldn't say that, and that's what maybe this seems to suggest. Like, some days I just want to be able to, like, go to work and turn my brain off and just do the job, right? Like, I'm sure we all do. So interesting. Jordan, maybe let's look yours up. ENFJ career paths. When it comes to choosing career, people with the ENFJ personality type find fulfillment in doing what they love most, helping others. They also prefer careers where their charisma is an important factor for success. With their natural charm, creativity, and drive, ENFJs can find many different ways to serve and uplift others in nearly any work environment. Excuse me. Whether they're behind a gleaming table in a corporate boardroom or behind the counter at a beloved local coffee shop.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Wei is actively dying.
I'm
perhaps.
sorry.
Wow, that was nice.
Did you hear that? Did you guys hear that?
No, not toward the
No,
end.
just-
What? Did something happen?
No, I was just coughing. Pretty
Oh,
badly.
yeah.
Is this a daycare
Oh goodness.
exposure?
Yeah. Ever since we put Oscar into daycare, we've just been a petri dish here at work. I'm thankful it didn't hit me until after the climb, the CN Tower climb.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, did we, Neil? Should we go through yours as well, just to balance?
I'm taking a quick look at it myself. It's sort of, it sounds about right. You
Many
know?
people with an INFP personality type long for a career that doesn't just take care of the bills, but also feels personally fulfilling. They want to spend their days doing something they genuinely love, preferably without too much stress or drama.
Yeah.
Okay. This I'm not as pleased with like this section. It sounds like all too general, you know?
Yeah. I felt like the friendships part and in the introduction part.
Yeah.
But when it gets
Kind of
into these
bullshit.
specifics about what career you should do, what are your habits at work, I'm not sure I agree with much of this. Because,
My
like,
fear is there might be some people that put too much into these, let's say, suggestions, if we're even calling it that. Again, so I'm not saying any of this data is not useful or not valuable. Again, it's how you relate to it. So perhaps maybe more valid than like a horoscope.
Yes.
But I'm not going to be spending like any significant portion of my clinical career. We'll cover this stuff, just not through these measures, let's say.
Yeah. So again, I don't know like if we learned anything for this one. I felt like in the course of answering the questions, I learned a bit more about each of you.
yeah, I was going to say that. I think that as we were analyzing the questions and talking about how we related to the questions, for the reasons why we answered the way we answered was probably the most interesting part, more so than the pseudo scientific results at the end, as much as we may have related to parts of that.
I think I learned most about Neil kind of being more of an unstructured slob with the terminology.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting as well. But thank you for taking the time and doing this. I hope it was not a drag to listen to. And if you did the test yourself, please share your results in the Post Wrestling Discord, postwrestling.com/Discord. Tell us who you are.
Through 4 letters and perhaps a dash in another letter.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else to share, discuss?
St. Vincent's new album comes out Friday. That's
Alright.
exciting. When's the last time? I think I asked Jesse this when we were walking, but not you. When's the last time you got like really excited about new music that came out?
I'm really excited for Kendrick Lamar's response to the Drake diss, if that counts. But like an album proper, I feel like it's been a long time. I don't even know when albums come out anymore. I mean, I spend most of my time listening to old music now, not necessarily anything new.
Do you not follow any websites or like media
No,
accounts?
I don't.
Really? So like new music, that's not something that is more top of mind that you desire to consume.
Not at all. No, there's so much great old stuff that's already been made that is new to me.
Sure. Yes, I get that, but it's certainly not contextualized like within modern times. That could be interesting.
Okay.
Like
You mean,
not just culturally, but production techniques.
I guess like what? Like the quality of sound or like special filter or something like that's in the music?
Okay, so I'll use it, Vampire Weekend as an example. They put out a new album a couple weeks ago, and singer Ezra, he's about our age. I think he just turned 40, and as he's like I'm interested in his perspective as someone like who is about my age in 2024. That's interesting to me. And even comparing that to the music and the lyricism he was publishing when he was in his 20s.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. I guess like I find enough enjoyment out of like the classics and discovering the classics, like maybe in a similar level, that I just don't really pay attention to what's new. So, what about you, Neil?
Yeah, I relate to what you said, Way, but I didn't know that Vampire Weekend, which was a band I really loved from their first album, had a new album out until Jordan shared their live performance on the Daily Show of one of the tracks from the album with me, and then I've been listening to it for the last 2 weeks, basically on a loop. It's excellent, but yeah, I'm more delved into the library of sort of tried and tested stuff I know I really like. And I also find I probably don't listen to as much music as I used to in my 30s because life, because podcasts, those sorts of things.
Do you talk about music as much as you did?
No, nothing like as much. My circle of friends, before everyone sort of paired off, had kids, would have spoken about what's current and what's new and what's good and what we like all the time.
Yeah, I think that's probably the big difference for me is like I don't really even like go on forums or anything to talk about new music with others, so it's given me less reason to talk about current stuff.
I don't either, but there's like a handful of websites that I'll check on a daily basis consistently.
Like, is that part? Do you partake in reactions to like new music or anything like that? Are you part of discourse about new music?
No, I'm not. I'll read reviews and be interested in certain reviews. But no, I have just about zero interest in sharing my own perspectives, at least in a public forum. That's not interesting to me.
Okay. All right. We don't have a topic yet for next month, but we will discuss it and we'll let everybody know soon enough.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's it. He is Jordan Goodman. He is an ENFJ personality type. Okay, officially now.
Officially.
You could find him at Jordan Beatwell.
Yeah. Still.
He is Neil Flanagan. He is an INFP, a personality type that known as the mediator, just like Tolkien and Tom Hiddleston.
Bjork.
And Bjork. You can find him at Neil Flanagan. I am INTJ. Wei Ting, you can find me at Wei0937. Thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next month on the Wellness Policy. Bye-bye.